There we go.
Dude,
hey everybody,
I'm going to put music in.
Oh yeah, awesome. Hey everybody, it's Will Middleton and Kurt on in from LifterLMS. We'll be here for the next 2 hours answering LifterLMS pre-sales and getting started questions. So no matter where you see us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, StreamYard, drop in your questions and we'll be answering them live. And until we have questions rolling in, Kurt will be playing the air guitar and putting on an epic show for us. Happy Thursday, everybody. I was going to say happy Friday, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Here we go.
You know what I noticed on last week's replay, Will?
What's that?
Do you remember how my wonderful friend and peer in the WordPress world, Adam Silver, commented that the music was distracting?
Right.
I listened to the replay and I was like, hey, it's louder on the replay than it is in my studio.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. So like to me, I have this giant speaker in my garage that, plays your voice in full stereo sound. And
right.
And the music's just like right in the background, like barely hear, like right. And then I listened to the replay and it was like, and it was like muffling us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Let's, we could do that. I'll turn it from.
So I turned it down real low.
Yeah, dropped like 10 or something. I think I had it at about 15 or 20 last week. But yeah, pre-sales, make sure this email sends. Sometimes in active campaign, I have to sit here and reload until it sends. Or else it just stays in a sending state to invite people to join us and ask any questions. Let's see, so that's sending. I've got some more LTDs to set up. For anyone tuning in, LifterLMS has a lifetime sale going on now through March 21st. I think we have 10 left. Last time I checked, it was 10, but there may have been some more since then. Roll in, but let me. That's what I'm going to be doing in the background is setting the people who are purchasing the lifetime up with that lifetime sale.
Dude, I even jumped on last night and just did an impromptu LinkedIn Live promoting that deal. That's an amazing deal.
For sure.
In fact, I don't want to be too lazy here. Let me go and find it. Where? No sound. The Infinity Bundle License. I'm going to go ahead and take the link and I'm going to put it on our screen.
Awesome.
Here we go. Show live comments on the StreamYard. There we go. Now I just gotta. Hey. Oh, there we go.
Man, active campaign is still thinking about whether it's going to send the email or not. Let's see. WooCommerce orders. All this sorted out.
Okay. Will, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say that you made me something different in here.
What's that?
Well, I don't have any of the controls I used to have and I can't share comments.
Oh, you can't share comments? I see private chat here. You dropped in the...
yeah, because I went to comments and I can't enter comments. Some destinations won't get comments. And well, let me see. What in the world? Maybe I'll sign out and sign back in.
Cool. When you see the comment box there in the bottom right, do you see like that all option? It's like a gray circle when you're...
Yeah, I don't have that.
Oh, that's weird.
It's gone. Yeah, that's why I went over to private chat because I was like, well, maybe I got to do it that way. You know what? I'm going to leave and come back.
Sounds good. Let's So we have an order. These lifetime sales got set up. Awesome. But yeah, to anybody seeing us in social media, feel free to type any questions about Lifter LMS. Getting started pre-sales will be here for the next 2 hours. Working on some things in the background, but also available to answer those questions for you. Is Kurt coming back?
I'm back.
Chat with everyone in the studio. Comments. Do you see the comment box now when you're at the top comments area?
Yeah, but dude, watch. This is weird. I don't understand. I don't know. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. StreamYard. I'll share my StreamYard screen. Do you see my StreamYard?
I do.
Where
I see
it's over here. So I'm over here, right?
Or I see the main page where we're looking at the upcoming broadcast.
That's what you see?
Yeah.
Stop the screen. Let's just go to, instead of picking that, let's go and pick the whole share screen. Don't show these screens. Easiest with 2 monitors, it says. I'll just pick the whole dang window. That way I won't be confused on where I'm going. Now we have the infinity screen. And if you look at here, dude, I don't have anywhere to add a comment or anything.
Yeah, that's strange. If you go to the right side over there and scroll down, like there's nothing like for
I don't have a scroll. There's nothing here. And so I went to private chat, and that's where I put in, the thing I put in earlier. I can still get to brand and music and video clips. I can still go to banners, right? We can make sample banners and do stuff, and then comments. But in comments, I can show.
Yeah, I'll just drop it in there.
Did you put those in?
Yeah, I just copied your private chat into the comments here.
So I don't know. I can show what's in there, but I can't add anything or comment on anything. That's weird.
That is strange.
And I think you're the meeting host, so maybe you have me locked out. But somebody's watching. Somebody's here, it says, unless that's me.
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think, we do have some people across a few channels checking us out. Let's see.
So if people want to put a question in chat, I might not be able to respond in chat, but I can respond on video, and apparently I can do screen share. So let's have at it. Let's tear the sucker up. Who wants to build a learning site today? People like, today? I'm not, but I wasn't ready. What am I doing with all these open tabs? Man, I look like a client. All right.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. You use a lot of open tabs, Will. You have usually a whole collection across your entire thing.
Right. Yeah. Usually I'm, running with at least 10. Like right now I've got, 10 open. Let's see. Who is this? All right. So we have someone from Minnesota about the lifetime extension or lifetime license.
Dude, that is sweet. Why? Because you're from Minnesota.
Exactly. It wasn't me that bought it. Someone else.
In full disclosure, it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if you saw this or not, but we have a request for someone that wants to come, wants to bring someone to pre-sales today. Wants to know if we're having the call on Zoom.
Right. Yeah, we're I would just drop them in with the oh sorry, yeah, I just shoot him the StreamYard link. So we'll do this for this week and 2 more weeks and see how it goes relative to our Zoom. I think we get a lot more distribution this way, but we'll see if we get popular requests for more Zoom pre-sales. We might switch back over there.
I don't know. Last week's pre-sales call on StreamYard I thought was pretty dang good.
Yeah.
Of course, we had people from Italy, and I'm very partial to that country.
Sure. Orders. Keep elbowing my tray table. All right, so this is a new customer. Cool. So that means we create them a new subscription.
Oh, dang, dang, dang. Look what I didn't do. Do you do any work in Substack, my friend?
I don't. I can't even hear the music at volume 10.
I can't even hear it either. Nobody's here, man. Crank it up.
Yeah.
You're listening to Smooth Jazz on the Wave.
Oh, that's the ad subscription. But what were you referring to there with Substack? I've never even worked with that tool before. I've heard of it.
Well, interestingly enough, I was just on a podcast with Jason Cohen from WP Engine, and we were talking about, it was like this WordPress project that eventually failed. It was called, crap, I got to look at my notes. Can't remember the name of it. But apparently 2 brilliant people put it together. This gives me hope. Not hope. It gives me like a, hey, don't feel bad about your failures, because other people that are smarter than you have failed at stuff too.
Yeah.
Of course, Jonathan asked the question, and then I wrote down notes on it. Was dang it, where did I put it? That's the problem when I take all these stinking notes. I'm on a podcast and I still write down all these stupid notes while I'm talking to somebody. Anyway, they were talking. Oh, Rainmaker. It was called Rainmaker, and so Rainmaker was this tool where supposedly it would be like a WordPress-based tool where people would sign in, become a member, and they would be able to put their content in Rainmaker, and Rainmaker was going to like repurpose content and break things into tweets and posts and blah, 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 and automate some things. And then they were talking about, and they go, well, look at Substack. A lot of people use Substack, and from that idea of content generation and proliferation and distribution. And and I hear Substack come up a lot, like on the Joe Rogan podcast and stuff like that. And so I had never used it, and I thought, I wonder if we'll use this Substack for anything.
Interesting. So is it like a way to stream to different platforms, or what is that? Or like manage your
I think so.
Video and all that?
Yeah, I think so. So it's one of those things. It's like I wrote it down, like, oh, that's something else I got to look at. I got to learn how to use that. It looks like Mrs. C is coming to see it. She says she sent us an email. She's struggling to get on this new thingy we're using. Right. So, yeah, Mrs. C, I miss seeing you face to face. We are using a thing called StreamYard. StreamYard is, Will, can I just say it? We are defending ourselves against Zoom bombers and people trying to put cartoon porn on our live feed. So, so we jumped into StreamYard here. It's a little bit more restrictive, but feel free to ask any questions you want in this chat, and we can certainly cover it. And as you can see, if you're still watching the screen, we can go ahead and put your comments right up there, Little Miss Vocal Euphoria. How your voice lessons going? Akash is funny. He says, you guys are lit. And Akash, I swear I haven't been drinking yet.
Let's see. And yeah, so it sounds like Adam Silver, FYI. Sent you a
Sounds like
message
the trash truck pulled up out front of my house. Hold on.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, let me see. We could probably find that email and dive into some questions live here. I'm a little bit distracted setting up some lifetime deals here in the background. Let's see, so that's completed. Reload. I guess, Kurt, do you think you could pull up Miss C's email there? Maybe we might be able to find it and dive into some questions live, maybe even a screen share and some stuff like that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that email come through yet.
I can do it. Let's see. Oh, John Stamper. Got a fair amount of messages today. We might find some content in here.
Oh yeah, in the helps guide inbox, absolutely.
Yeah, well, her email just says, I meant to join you guys today, but this new link only lets me press play on your live stream, and I can't join or ask questions. But hopefully by now, Miss Carolyn, she's understood that she says she'll have to save her questions till next week. Yeah, not urgent. All right. And Jonathan, not Jonathan. Let me see here. We've got. Yep. I've been seeing Adam Silver everywhere. Like everywhere. Man, that guy does a good job of being all places all the time.
For sure.
Says he hit me a message on Twitter. I don't think I've identified where that is yet, but I'll find him.
Yeah, like Twitter direct messages. I've never used that. It's created. Let me make sure that this lifetime subscription works.
Hold on. Adam says, I don't hear the music either here on Facebook or Twitter, which is fine by me. Well, Adam, you missed the part where we mentioned you by name at the beginning of the broadcast and said, hey, you know, our very valuable friend and peer in the WordPress space said he couldn't stand the music. So we had it really, really, really low. And I think now it might even be turned off. Oh, it's good stuff.
Let's see. So we have a lifetime subscription. Looks good. Then
you got another one just now?
Oh no, I'm just setting these up. They take like 15 minutes to set up properly, just to get the order right and all this stuff. Especially when someone doesn't have a subscription already. When someone who buys a lifetime already has an infinity bundle, we just kick it out a couple hundred years, and we're good. But creating one from scratch requires some more work. So there we go. Got that all set up.
I'm just going to go ahead and put that one right in closed.
There we go. So nice.
Oh. All right. I want to fill in some dead air, if that's okay with you, Will.
Yeah.
I'm basically looking at one of our, in case people aren't aware, when you have a question about LifterLMS, obviously you can go to LifterLMS. We have a way that you can just say, hey, I got some questions, or a pre-sales area, right? Sometimes we get really long formats. And Will is a sweetheart. Will usually forward those really long format responses to me. And we get a lot of the same questions a lot of the time. So I got a really long one with lots of bullet points. This one was like, what's the yearly price and what do we get for this? That is one of the confusing questions that I seem to get with LifterLMS, and let me explain why it's confusing. We can be free. Like, people don't understand that, oh, you freemium? What's a freemium example look like? Well, freemium is, LifterLMS, in an effort to democratize learning, offers the core plugin for absolutely free. So, you get membership tools, you get the ability to put up your courses, you get the ability to have coupons and vouchers, so that you could issue vouchers. So you could do a manual payment process where somebody pays you for a course and you issue them a voucher, and then they can, sign in and take whatever it is that you've agreed to give them through the membership portal. That's all stuff that you can build no cost to yourself for our platform. But then if you want to automate, some e-commerce tools and maybe plug in Stripe or WooCommerce or PayPal or Authorize.net, we have a native payment gateway for that. Obviously WooCommerce if you want other options. And when you start getting into those things, or like automating some marketing tools like MailChimp or plugging into another CRM, that's where we have, the add-ons and the things that can increase your investment to have your own courses online. And so I don't want to sound coy or dismissive, but like when someone says, how much does LifterLMS cost? Well, it can be free, or you could go and get access to all of our add-ons, on a yearly basis, which is $1,200 a year. But with that $1,200, you basically could make yourself an agency, because if you elect for that, not only do we give you access to all the add-ons, but we give you the ability to plug that into as many, live websites as you want. And so you could really turn that into something if you wanted to. So that was one of the questions I really wanted to hit home, because I hear it a lot, like, how much does this cost? And all of that is really transparent on our pricing page. Sometimes people lose concept of it. Like, our universe bundle comes with a really great selection of good starter add-ons. I think it's $360 a year and lets you do up to 5 websites. And a lot of people say, but I only have one website. I only need the one. How much for just one? $360, because you're paying for the add-ons and the ability and the access to do wonderful things with your learning management system. And then, quite honestly, we just we're like, how can we make this more attractive for people that might want to, share this ability with other people? And so the Universe Bundle is great if it's you and a handful of people that maybe want to do some projects together. Universe Bundle is great. If you want to expand and have access to more tools, you want to go with the Infinity Bundle. Fantastic. And then, of course, you have the ability to help as many people as you want once you have that license. And Will right now is intently staring at his screen, processing a very, very limited run of lifetime deals. And that lifetime deal, I think we only had 15 of them to start with, and they're dwindling down. But that lifetime deal enables you to be part of the Lifter family for life. And we've got a link somewhere in our comments that I can share that will put that up. There it is, lifetime deal, boom. And so if that's something that interests you and you want to, join the family forever, it's a great way to do it. Save some money.
Absolutely. And it looks like there's 9 left on that product. Let's see. Trying to figure out how to share the StreamYard too.
Yeah. The next question that I get from folks is, what does it mean to be a user? Some people seem to get curious about like roles and capabilities. That comes up. And, we host a weekly call for what we call the Office Hour Mastermind. And, WordPress professionals from all over the planet sign into that thing. We get people from Europe, Australia, from Asia. And, they ask similar questions. So it doesn't mean it's a dumb question. It just means that, we need to clarify. So, what is a user? And I'm a corporate trainer in my previous life. So I understand where that question's going. I understand that people are on a path and they're trying to make some assumptions. So they'll say, what's considered a user? Well, first off, don't worry about it. With LifterLMS, there's no limit on the number of users or students that you put in your system. We don't charge you a per user license fee or anything like that. We don't have conversations about, well, if you have 500 active users a month, it's this much. If it's 2,000 active users a month, it's this much. We don't care. So we don't worry about the user count at LifterLMS. Your host and your traffic might be something to consider with a lot of users, but it has nothing to do with the software or the platform that we offer. Next is users is anybody really in the WordPress site that's in the site. There's visitors, users, there's students, there's instructor assistants. And so we have a resource in our website, in our knowledge base, that really well defines out of the box what those roles and capabilities are. And so if your question is about how much does this cost per user, don't worry about it. If your question deals with what access do different users in the system get, then you want to definitely take a look at roles and capabilities in the knowledge base that is linked right to the main menu of LifterLMS. Yeah, we got certificates. You can use the coupons right out of our core plugin for discount codes. People in Europe ask us a lot about VAT receipts, and our payment gateway isn't really set up for taxes and things like that. So in a lot of those cases, we'll refer those folks to use the WooCommerce integration, and then of course deal with taxes and all that stuff through the WooCommerce plugin. Did you make a noise? Were you going to correct me, Will?
I didn't. My little table here made a noise. So they might have been.
I thought, oh, did I misspeak? Will's going to correct me. Oh, but no. Okay.
No, we're good.
This one comes up, dude. I'm actually working with a pair of really smart people. You know how much fun it is when you have a client that's like brilliant. Like sometimes it can be a nightmare, but usually working with smart people's fun. And this comes up with them. It came up in this question too. It's like, can our clients buy courses in bulk? Like, how do you do corporate sales? How do you maybe you're making a training site that's going to cater to a school district, and you want to have like different schools be in different groups or different purchase packages, right? So maybe this school has 1,000 users, maybe this school has 1,500, maybe this school has 2,000. Maybe that's how you're doing your business model. We have the vouchers, right? In our, like I mentioned before, in our free core plugin, comes with coupons and vouchers. You could, take a payment for 2,000 students and then issue 2,000 vouchers, or issue the ability to use the same voucher 2,000 times. So you can do that all day long. Or LifterLMS has a kind of a feature add-on called groups. And with groups, you can add a group to the website, and it can be private, it can be public, you can set up that parameter in the settings any way you want, but it kind of gives them almost like a Facebook page feel. It'll have a cover image, it'll have a profile image, and then you have the ability to auto enroll anyone in that group to a specific membership or course, which is cool, and then assign a group leader. And when you assign that group leader, which can be external, right? That could be someone at that school. They just input a user list, and it adds them and automatically enrolls them into whatever you've pre-sold that organization. That's a really cool thing. And what I really like about that tool is having been a training manager corporately and having to do weekly and monthly reporting on student progress and stuff like that, it can be tedious. The group leader actually gets access to front end, kind of like surface reporting right through the groups tool. And so it'll tell them what students are active and who's in and all of that, which is a really cool feature.
For sure. Groups is kind of one of the latest and greatest developments with Lifter, and hopefully there will be more to come with that groups feature, this year in the later quarters, some more e-commerce features and stuff like that. I did see a question here on YouTube from Medical Learning Institute Incorporated. Does the data for LifterLMS reside on our servers, and is there any data that resides outside of their server? So I guess LifterLMS is, a plugin for WordPress. So all of the data for your website is going to be on that WordPress website. So wherever you're hosting, if you're on SiteGround, WP Engine, hosting your own website, it's going to be on that web host server in the database. That's where your data lives for your students, and passwords and progress and all this stuff is going to live on your hosting database. And there are a few things that can be sent over to Lifter when you click yes, I'd like to opt in for sending some data for like a coupon or something like that. It just shows us, the number of students, and I think there's a few other metrics that we just track in the back end, but that's all optional as well. So you can opt out of sending any data. So with LifterLMS, it's 100% possible to keep everything kind of on your WordPress environment's servers. So as far as like data regulations and all that kind of stuff, it's all controlled within your web host. And then of course you can use tools like WP Fusion, MailChimp integration, ConvertKit integration, all kinds of neat stuff to transfer data to your CRM, email list tool, and other places. But by default, it's going to live on your web host. And we had another question. Can you change the word students to something else site-wide, to call them learners and stuff like that? There are options to create user roles within WordPress. You can create your own custom user role. So if you wanted to create a learner role instead of a student, you could do that. I'm not sure if you can actually change the word student with those user role edit plugins. We actually took a look at this last week. I could log into that demo site I was working with. You might actually be able to just change the actual word. I didn't try to do that, but let me see if I still have that. See if I still have that.
I mean, you could just make a custom user and then reassign that if you had to.
Right. Let me clear this out a little bit. User role editor, default roles. Other default roles for a new registered user. Yeah, so you could change maybe the default role for registered users. Let me switch plugins here real quick and see if I can use that one that's recommended by LifterLMS. LifterLMS usually recommends Publish Press. Let me turn that one on and see if I can get this to work. I don't do a whole lot of work with customizing user roles, but we might be able to get that to work. Capabilities, roles. So if I have a student, where's student? There it is. Okay, cool. So it does look like we can change the user role name here. Let me present, share screen. I'm going to share my roles in my WordPress Academy share screen. Cool. Kurt, can you see my WordPress Academy? Or
in the zone, baby.
In the
edit
zone,
role
awesome.
student.
Yeah, so I'm using a plugin here on my website that LifterLMS recommends called Publish Press Capabilities. And this allows me to utilize this new menu item called Capabilities. And roles is really what I'm looking for. Let me go down to roles, capabilities roles. And here I can go edit student, edit this student role here. And it looks like I can change the name. I wouldn't be able to change the slug of the role, but I could change the name here to learner. And that should work well for me. So now all of these test users on my website should be converted here over to learners. This used to say students up here at the top, but now we have learner as the role for that. So it does look like that is a possibility with LifterLMS alongside Publish Press. And Publish Press is a free plugin out there in the WordPress repo that lets you customize checkboxes as to what users can do, and also a few other neat features along the lines of customizing user roles. I'm going to jump into setting up the second lifetime license here I have. Infinity Bundle. It seems like with this lifetime sale, we've had a lot more new users coming in the door. I remember last time we had a bunch of upgrades going on, but it seems like this time it's a lot of new subscriptions are just going straight for the lifetime option.
That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. Another question came in. Can you schedule and unschedule or unpublish a course on certain days and times? What would it look like to unpublish a course and maybe hide it from the catalog and search as well? I can pull up a demo of that here too. Let me share screen. I'll share that same Same window, I have users on my Academy share screen. Cool. So if we take a look here at the back, awesome, of my my WordPress site, I have all my courses available. And let's say I wanted to work with a saving strategy course and make it available only for a limited time. There's a few different ways you could do that. Switching to draft or completely unpublishing a course would have to be done manually. Of course, you can always schedule. So if I were to switch this post to a draft, I could schedule a post if I wanted to publish. I could schedule it, of course, to be published at a certain time, but for unpublishing it automatically, there's not an automatic way to do that with LifterLMS out of the box, but you can create restrictions on your course where there's a certain enrollment period. So if I turn on my enrollment period option, it allows me to utilize a setting where maybe we want to only allow people to enroll through the end of March this year. So the enrollment end date, you cannot enroll in this course after March 31st, 2023. So if someone were to come to this course after this date, they just wouldn't have an option to enroll with the access plans on the course. And enrollment dates are pretty interesting. It doesn't completely unpublish the course or hide it. That would have to be something done manually. But there's another third-party tool. I believe Aspen Grove Studios created it, called the Course Scheduler, where you have course cohorts going through your course. So you might have sort of enrollment periods of different users going through your course. I might recommend the enrollment start date feature of LifterLMS out of the box, not knowing exactly what you're going for in the setup there, but the enrollment date is a good way to restrict that. And just like LifterLMS is the enrollment period, there's also course time period. So course start date might be, maybe we have our enrollment period be through the end of March, but the course actually starts on April 1st and then ends on April 30th. So the option to enroll is going to be only here in March, but then you can't start the course or view any of the lessons until April 1st, and course end date is when you can no longer view and complete lessons. So all students in this course would need to complete their course entirely within this month of April, based on how I have the course start and end date set up. So you could do that where maybe you wanted to have it for the entire year. So you'd maybe do 2024 for a course that's only going to be available for a single year. We could have the enrollment period set up for the same time period as the course start and end date. So if you're doing a course that's only going to be available in 2023, that might be a way to do it, to have the registration and start date aligned with your period that's enrolled and able to access the content. Kurt, does that kind of make sense? I'm kind of jumping around there between the two settings, but hopefully that kind of makes sense for how you can create a period of when can users view the content and when can users enroll in the course. Two different settings, but you can line them up to make some cool setups there.
Yeah, no, it made sense to me.
Awesome. We had another question. Is it possible to have different certificates based on different custom fields, different WP forms or WS form fields? I'm trying to think of maybe how that would be done. Possible different certificates. So certificates are based off of the engagement system in LifterLMS. So I'll jump over to my screen share again, make sure I don't share the wrong screen. There we go. Edit course. So LifterLMS leverages what is called the engagement system in order to award these certificates. So the triggering events for certificates would be, these options here. So they're not necessarily linked to WP forms or a forms tool directly. So I'm trying to think of how we might be able to do that, where a certificate would be triggered based on a user field. Of course, there's the option to clone the course and have a few different enrollments based on how the user fills out the WP form. They would get enrolled into a different course. And of course, each course would have its own certificate to make that custom layout. I know we have had some users work with custom development in order to use the same certificate, but modify what the certificate looks like based on user custom fields. The user I'm thinking of had a course that different companies could purchase, and they wanted the company's logo to be on the certificate. So depending on the custom field the user filled out for which company they're associated with, they're supposed to have a different logo on their certificate that's associated with that field. That doesn't sound like exactly the same thing as to what you're going for here. But looking at the engagement option might be one thing to do. And let me stop my screen share and take a look at WP Fusion real quick. WP Fusion engagements, LifterLMS, because I'm not sure maybe there's an option with that. WP Fusion is a pretty neat tool to use alongside Lifter. And Kurt, maybe while I'm trying to figure this one out, do you want to answer the next question there and chat about preferred developer partners?
The preferred development partners, quite honestly, is, and I'll pull it up just to kind of give you guys a shot here. We have a listing of vetted people that we can recommend, and they are on the LifterLMS experts page. I will pull up that page right there. Make sure it comes up. Yep, there we are. And I will do a present shared screen. Make sure that I don't make the same mistake I did earlier. There we go. Okay, there we are with our infinity screen. Let's go over to experts. And we've got this whole page of experts here. These folks have been vetted for us. And when you start going through, you really just kind of need to go, okay, well, which kind of person based on, their kind of write-up would be the person for me. The other person, the other group that we recommend, especially if it's something specific that's more like a feature, would be Codable. And Codable is a whole group of people that can be used. And I think Codable is on this list, but they also have a link to Codable. What do you know the link to the Codable one offhand, Will? Because I know this is lifterlms.com/experts.
Yeah, it should be.
Hey, there's
page. Oh yeah, there's Kurt.
Yeah, I was going to say my picture was broken before, but now my picture's there.
It should be like at the experts page right on the top. But
for Codable?
Yeah, I thought we had a promotion at the top of the experts page.
Let me see. Let me go back to the top there, see if I just went past it. Frequently asked questions. Verified experts. No, I don't see it at the top. I know we put it in all of our emails.
Yeah, it's here. I'll share my screen on Lifter. Where's the experts page? Oh, here.
Oh, there's Susie. Susie's brilliant.
WordPress experts here. So here at lifterlms.com/experts, there's a promotion right here at the top, lifterlikes.com/Codable, that we usually try to recommend as a custom development partner. And then if you're looking for some other sort of services or working with an individual long-term, we have the experts listing there at the bottom. And one thing I wanted to talk about here too is I did find a solution with an out-of-the-box tool for this question around the custom certificates that may be worth looking into. That might end up being a little bit more of a budget option than a Codable expert if you wanted to go down this route. There's a tool called WP Fusion that allows you to connect your LifterLMS WordPress website with a CRM tool like ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, any of those kind of tools. And the nice thing about that is tools like, I'll use ActiveCampaign as an example, but most of the tools have this functionality, is they can tag users in the CRM or email list tool. They can give users tags, and then the website can take actions based on tags that the user has, maybe over an ActiveCampaign. So if we give the user a tag in ActiveCampaign that says, certificate 1 or something like that, then your WordPress website can trigger an engagement via this WP Fusion tool to give a user a certificate based on the tag that they got. So if they get the certificate 1 tag in ActiveCampaign, they get awarded certificate 1 from your LifterLMS website. Same thing, you could have certificate 2 awards a different certificate via the WP Fusion integration with LifterLMS engagements. So that's another kind of creative way to utilize those tools together to create a setup where tags are sort of running the structure of how certificates are awarded. And so the WP Fusion tool, I believe, is like $250 a year. Don't quote me on that. Check out WP Fusion pricing. But I think it's about that much, which would end up being a little bit more budget than a developer probably. But of course, then you would have to have the CRM tool as well, such as ActiveCampaign or Infusionsoft. So you might want to weigh the pros and cons if that would be a good answer for you. with WP Fusion. And we had another question, reports. Can you get a report of all students and their answers to quizzes, form data in a course? So all the questions and answers that they filled out in the reports. There's not an exportable report currently in Lifter that grabs a student along with all of their data. Well, I guess that's not true. You can get a student and their grades in a course along with individual quizzes. I don't know, maybe Kurt, if you have a second, if you could pull up and demo like the LifterLMS reporting system and show just what kind of reports we can see as far as the user and courses and quizzes and what kind of exports are available in that way.
Yeah, can do. I was just answering one of our email help ones, and I just got that sent. So let me jump into my screen share, and we'll go to reporting. All right, got the right page. That's good. All right. Nope. All right, you see in the dashboard?
I see it.
Okay, good. All right, so this is the back end of my dashboard. And if we go down here, we'll see the LifterLMS menu. And if you're new to Lifter, we have multiple menus in here. So we have LifterLMS, courses, memberships, engagement, orders, groups, private posts. This is all part of what could be yours in LifterLMS, but we're going to focus on the main menu, right? And we're going to go to reporting. When we go to reporting, you'll see that we've got a list of students, and maybe I should make this bigger. Maybe you're not seeing all the detail on a screen share. Yeah, so we've got a list of students, courses, memberships, assignments, quizzes, sales, and enrollments. So let's break this down. We've got a list of students, and we see that we can export those right there. If I want to open up a specific student, maybe I should open up one that has actual stuff done. Let's go take a look at Cade Ledner, right? So this gives us who that is. This gives us an overall view of that person through the reporting and how awesome that they're from Philadelphia. I am also from Philadelphia. We'll go to courses, and this will give us a look at what courses they're currently enrolled in, what their progress is in those courses, when that was last updated, and what their current grade is. And if I wanted to drill down further, I could click on one of those courses, and this will give me a view of the lessons and their participation within those lessons. And then, of course, if there was grading involved there, we'll see that. Like, this is a lesson with a quiz, and this user is a 66.67%, right? So we're able to keep drilling that down, and we can keep going into that. We can take a look at what membership they are in, what achievements they may have made, right? So this gives us a list of kind of that gamification and achievements that we can assign through the engagements menu. And then certificates, if we have any certificates assigned to any completed courses, those will come up there as well. And so that gives us a look from the student's perspective. If we take a look at courses, and if I'm just droning on, Will, you got to let me know if you want to interrupt me with anything, but I'm just kind of playing in here. Courses, this gives us an overall view of courses. Again, we can export from this main menu, or we can dive in deeper, go to like our course template clones, probably not a good one to take a look at. Let's go with college planning. And if we dive into that, we'll see, we've got 3 enrolled students. This is the average progress. This is the current average grade. And we're kind of able to use this as a screen to kind of go, okay, what can we change? What can we make better? How's it being used? And if we look at the students, this will drive us back into kind of that student view, but just pertaining to this course and not a whole list of students, right? So if we wanted to filter the list of students, we would go through courses first, have that filtered view of students, and then be able to either export that based on course or look at each individual student. Memberships is a very similar situation. We can look at how many memberships we have. We can export that list as an overall, or we can drill down into that and again get that basic overall view of it, or take a look at the students that are in it as a filter. And then you get the idea. This can just go right through and do, assignments. Same thing. How many assignments do we have? And then drill that down. So the reporting is pretty advanced. It works really, really well. We can also look at sales and enrollments and quizzes in a very similar way. The thing I like is that when you export something as a CSV file, well, then you can morph that data any way that you want. And something to remember is if you use custom fields with LifterLMS, like through the registration form or something like that, that will add fields to your reporting accordingly. So if you needed to know, like, by company name or by license number or something like that, you can customize that reporting based on the custom fields that you employ.
That's a great demo of the LifterLMS reporting. Thanks for sharing that. And we had a question come in about, so single course rather than drilling down into a student. So there's not an option to export a single course with every quiz in the course and every student's answers to those quizzes. That would have to be a custom development project with a database query where the developer would write like a PHP function as like an export, and then it grabs all the database fields that you're looking for that sort of report. So all the data is there. It's just not organized in a format where you can say, here's the course. I want every quiz in that course, and I want all of the students' answers to the quiz. I'm not sure how that would be formatted as a CSV file. Because of course with a CSV file has, the rows and columns. So I'm wondering like how that would be formatted with like 3 dimensions. There's probably a way to.
I was going to say, it sounds kind of messy.
Yeah, so maybe like if there was a quiz. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to just jump to the next question. It says, can LifterLMS send out reminders if a student hasn't finished a course? Our engagement menu is fairly robust for something out of the box, right? So it'll be like, you signed up for a course, you completed a course. There's different triggers like that and emails that you can customize in that way. But when you get into like reminders, like you haven't signed in 3 days, or it's been 2 weeks since you've done something, that really requires leveraging kind of an automation tool with a CRM tool. Like, for instance, I'm a Groundhog fan. I'll use Groundhog as a CRM, and that allows me to put in a trigger that says it's been so long since someone logged in, or it's been so long since. And so that benchmark triggers this action. So broad scope out of the box, no. With a little simple customization, yes. Was that fair? Did that sound fair, Will?
Yeah.
Like ActiveCampaign and WP Fusion could do that, or the Groundhog integration can do that. I think even in HubSpot with WP Fusion, you'd be able to trigger a similar chain of events. So yeah, that would work, and it's fairly simple.
Right. Yeah. With the Lifter engagement system, it's working off of triggers rather than like a full automation tool where like we took a look at those triggering events of like student enrolls in the course, then you can wait 100 days and then ask them how it's going. But maybe they got a refund after 30 days and left the course or something like that, then the engagement would still trigger. So there's a few issues with trying to use the engagement system as a full like engagement tool or a full automation tool like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I had this conversation with a customer that got a little weird. And so finally what I said, Will, was I said, look, the engagement feature in Lifter is based on what happens, and you're asking for things based on what doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. Right. So Lifter doesn't work on what doesn't happen. You need a different tool that works on what doesn't happen.
Right. Because Lifter in WordPress leverages kind of the cron out of the box, where like, or not the cron, the just how PHP works, where like when an event happens, you can trigger things cascading. And then there's tools like cron, like Groundhog leverage to say like, wait for certain events to happen. But yeah, that's more of an advanced automation tool for that sort of setup. And another question, can you add a description custom image for course track tags and categories? And let me pull up my site there. Yeah, so you can do some customizations to share the right screen here. I have all kinds of tabs open, so I'm trying to make sure we get the right one. Lifter reporting. So for courses and tracks and tags and all this kind of stuff, these are various taxonomies you can use to split up your your courses. If you have a ton of courses in your website, making sure things are organized on the front end and the back end, categories and tags are a great way to do that. And you can create nested setups and all that kind of stuff with parent course categories and all this kind of thing. So of course you can add a description and add a name. So if we view like the budgeting category, I think that's one in this demo site that's already populated. So course category budgeting is the URL here. And in the menu of my website, in this demo site, these are just linking directly to the categories. So we have kind of like a catalog here based on these categories. I don't think you can have an image associated with a category with WordPress out of the box. There's probably a way to create that with maybe some sort of like an archive plugin. I would assume that image on category. There's all kinds of ways to customize the post types in the back end of WordPress. So there's probably a way to create like listing category posts. Like there's all kinds of different tools that allow you to modify the structure of how taxonomies and post types in WordPress work. But out of the box, you can create like links to your categories and display them. And maybe you would create a custom page on your WordPress website that says blog categories or course categories in this case. And then you would have an image with a link to the budgeting category, but the image wouldn't necessarily be linked to the category functionally. It would just be a picture on a static page. And if you click that picture, you get linked over to the budgeting page. So you're kind of manually creating a little bit of a directory in that way. And the same thing applies to course tracks and tags. I don't know, Kurt, maybe you have some other ideas about how users can organize large portfolios of courses and memberships and all this kind of stuff, and maybe keep things just organized on the front end for students. And I think it comes down to the user experience a lot, but I don't know, Kurt, do you have any other ideas on organizing large catalogs?
Large catalogs, for me, I've basically used the category structure, right? And then through Elementor made archive pages to display courses like a course catalog broken down by category. And then you can separate that by, if you have thousands of courses, it would be, I'd break those into pages, categories for pages of stuff. But if it's, if I've got 30 courses and I want to break them into 4 different categories, I break them into categories and separate the page into those category segments. Like your point, It's like so many times when I talk to a client about building, a sizable LMS, it seems to be that the conversation focuses on the people running the LMS. And that's not really what the conversation should be about. The conversation should be about what's the experience for the end user? How does a student feel trying to find the content that they're looking for? And so, I made the mistake myself. And so most of my wisdom comes from my previous failures and mistakes, right? And so I try to give people the easy button and learn from those. My original portfolio academy had like 18 courses in it, and they were just a cacophony of nonsense just stacked on top of each other. And then I was like, you know what? This would work better if I separated this. So here's a leadership group of courses. Here's a, efficiency group of courses. Here's a, fitness group of courses. And here's a, personal development group of courses. And once I made that delineation and separated those and broke them out in a catalog using the tools in Elementor, it worked really, really well for me.
Yeah, that sounds like a great setup. It seems like very helpful, gentlemen. Thank you. No problem.
All right. You're listening to Smooth Jazz.
Do you know
it's
pretty...
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to on a total rabbit hole tangent about it would be cool to have like a license key feature in like WooCommerce directly. I've never explored options for that, but in Lifter, our license keys are custom coded into WooCommerce. But that'd be kind of an interesting sort of thing where, like, I guess license keys are pretty complicated, but I'm going down like a developer rabbit hole. What were you going to say, Kurt?
No, I was just, in the back of my mind, it was like and I'm not a developer. I'm going to be really clear with people listening, or because we're on so many different channels right now. I'm not a developer. I'm like one of those power implementers, right? I'm a power user. I can take existing tools, shove them together, weave them together, and problem solve it and figure out, okay, out of this mess of crap that you want to do, this is the simplest, easiest way that we're going to make it happen. And we go out of our way to make it complicated sometimes. We really try to, I want to do this. I have to have this feature where if someone doesn't sign in for 3 days, it's going to do this, and then it's going to do that, and then it's going to send somebody a postcard, and then it's like sometimes we need to really just simplify it and go, okay, what's our minimal viable product? How can we do a proof of concept? How can we get our first 10 paid subscribers in? And then, build and evolve kind of like as the community demands it. And I find that those can sometimes have the best success.
Right. And like you had mentioned earlier, those types of products are built after customer demand rather than being built around like the owner's product vision, which there's kind of a balance there. That's a cool topic. And since we don't have any questions coming in currently, I don't know if we could speak to, and I guess by we, I mean, I'm passing it off to you, Kurt, for any, do you have any like thoughts around creating a course website or a membership website and having that balance between the product vision as the person creating the product and answering customers' questions directly, like building it based on customer feedback versus building it based on your vision?
Yeah, well, I've suffered at the hands of both scenarios, right? And so you're right, there has to be a balance. I've got a couple of projects out there that still don't have a great adoption rate, where I just spent hundreds of hours building these great, best products in the industry kind of scenarios, but my adoption rate wasn't high and I didn't get enough community involvement building it, and it doesn't feel like there's any ownership given to a community through what I've offered. And I realize that that's my failure, right? So I'm like, okay, so this, maybe I could have changed the way I launched or the way I released or the way that I did. And when you release more from a community standpoint, and I'm thinking more of like speakers, coaches, authors, I'm not talking about like official schools. With the more buy-in you get and the more you directly answer a user's question to build off of that, it seems like you extend ownership through the community and you get more stickiness in your product and maybe more referral for your product. So I see that. However, lately, dude, we've had a lot of people come into LifterLMS, at least coming through me to LifterLMS, that have been like, I want, this is like for real curriculum think about those aviation training people that were in last week, mm-hmm. They're going to have specific things for A&P technicians that have to be considered. They're going to have specific best practices that, have to be in place. So there is a defined curriculum that needs established, but I think the delivery of that curriculum can still be somewhat guided by community demand, which again extends ownership and helps with stickiness and growth.
Yeah, that makes sense. And
I think it's like you with your YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel grew brilliantly because you were like, what are people asking me for? And then you walk around with your green screen, like, let me show you what I'm doing now, but it's because you answered the specific question that was being asked. It wasn't like you force fed people what you thought they needed to know.
Right. And I was surprised with that about what topics were popular. Like there's this favorites plugin. People said, I want to be able to favorite lessons. And, kind of spoiler alert, that might be a feature coming out of LifterLMS in the near future directly. But
oh boy,
there's a plugin in WordPress called Favorites, where you can favorite posts, and posts include lessons, and then you can show posts based on the most favorited. And that's what my tutorial was about. And that was such a niche, weird question, but it got a ton of adoption on the YouTube channel. I have a bunch of comments, and I have to go figure out if that plugin's even still in the WordPress repo because people are asking me questions about it. Like, hey, can it do this? And I'm like, I don't know. And so like, I'm gonna have to go like kind of figure it out and be like, oh yeah, maybe you can take a look at this solution. But that's one of those videos that gets a ton of comments, and I'm like, I don't even know why that's such a popular feature, but it seems pretty in high demand or in high demand.
That one you got on the screen now is a good topic. That's a really good topic. Because I'm going to be blunt and I'm just going to say, if I can avoid using WooCommerce, I avoid using WooCommerce. The standard payment features that are native payment gateway, if you're just selling courses and memberships, is by far the easiest, most direct, most wonderful way to go. Especially if you can use Stripe or PayPal, and just like Stripe is so easy, just Stripe, boom, in. So yeah, we do have our own native payment gateway. We integrate directly with Stripe. It is a wonderful way to sell your courses and your memberships. Here's why you want to use WooCommerce, right? Because I think that's kind of the question. What would an integration with WooCommerce add? Well, with WooCommerce, now you can sell anything you want. You want to sell coffee mugs, tapestries, wall hangings, stuffed animals, tote bags. If you want to sell anything, you want to sell live events, you can sell anything with WooCommerce through your store. And so what happens there is you actually almost, I don't want to say throw away, but you kind of hide the cart and the system through Lifter, and you tie into it through the WooCommerce shop. So if you have a membership or a course that you're selling through LifterLMS, you actually create a sister product in WooCommerce, and then our integration ties that sister product together with the access plan in LifterLMS and activates that access plan through the interaction in WooCommerce. So if you're not going to sell anything other than the courses and the memberships, just stick with our native payment gateway, keep things simple, and boom, perfect. If you, for some reason, need to use WooCommerce, again, for selling other things, you can do it now. I feel like I have to clarify this more, Will. Could you have a WooCommerce store on your website that sells coffee mugs, tapestries, and all of that nonsense, and then still have, a side-by-side also existing cart native payment gateway with LifterLMS just to sell the courses? Well, you could, but then that makes for a sloppy user experience. And that's what we were talking about earlier, where you have to think about the end user and the user experience and the flow of going through your site as like a store, right? So if you wanted to create a department store experience where you go to menswear to buy a sweater, and then you go to home and garden to buy a lawnmower, you could have that experience on your website. But isn't it so much better when you can go to a store, pick up all the crap you want, and go to one cashier? Well, that's what WooCommerce allows you to do with our integration. It allows you to buy whatever you want through the WooCommerce store. And if that happens to be a digital product like a course or a membership, you pick up that product as well. And when they pick up that product, it activates that access plan.
Right. And there are some other advantages around like automatic tax tools that WooCommerce integrates with that Lifter doesn't. So by processing your payments through WooCommerce, you might be able to use QuickBooks easier to send data to your accountant. But it kind of depends on, like Kurt said, with your business model. That's what it comes down to for me, is the physical digital product combination on the same website, same business, is really where the decision is made. Because if you're using the Lifter Stripe gateway and you're looking for these tax integrations, they don't really necessarily exist in Lifter directly. But if you're using the Stripe gateway, just download a list from Stripe and email it to your accountant. That's the entirety of the transactions from the year, including refunds and all the stuff. So it's all there in your payment processors. But WooCommerce allows for some more fancy integrations. WooCommerce allows for more internationalization if you wanted to use multi-currency and things like that. But I much prefer, like Kurt said, the simple Lifter integrations, Lifter Stripe. That's really what I use on my sites. And sometimes I'll also use Lifter PayPal, but I've been leaning away from that lately and just going with Lifter Stripe. But for complex e-commerce setups involving multiple types of products, WooCommerce is nice.
I was just thinking, isn't it amazing what a year can do? I used to really, dread, fight, kick, and scream like a baby in a store about having to hook up WooCommerce, right? And now, but over time you realize, well, it really just does, like I said, it just makes a sister product, ties in on the access plan, and it's much easier than I think we sometimes make it out to be.
Right. Yeah.
It's all the other stuff. It's like, well, I'm sorry, I just talked right over you, man. I apologize. But the number one thing is, especially for agencies, because I specialize a lot in working with other agencies, you hook people up on WooCommerce and you might have, you go, okay, great, we can hook up on WooCommerce, but their subscriptions for WooCommerce, they don't have like a lifetime deal, and they don't have an agency deal for that. And so that's $199 a year on top of your WooCommerce usage, and it's one license per site. And so that's one of those stumbling blocks, and I wanted to make sure we cover that. And by the way, when I mentioned pricing for third-party tools on these calls, know that they might have some deal or something I don't know about. So I apologize if the number's wrong, but the last time I looked at it, it was $199 per year per site, and you had to enact that in order to do subscriptions and recurring billing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is a big consideration. Are you doing recurring payments or are you not doing recurring payments? And I think for minimum viable product, LifterLMS tools out of the box are the way to go. And I'm usually running minimum viable product businesses that are just, let me set up my course, see what the adoption is, get some couple hundred people in here. But if I'm trying to run something bigger, like for a client where they have all these complex requirements, WooCommerce is usually what I end up going to. If they're selling physical products and whatnot, it's really just kind of a toss up of what you need for your business model and the complexity of the learning curve. Like if you're completely new to WordPress, you've never built a website before, you might find it easier to set up Stripe and Lifter than to understand how WooCommerce works, the cart works, LifterLMS WooCommerce integration. There's just more steps. But if you're a seasoned WordPress veteran and you understand WooCommerce, take the LifterLMS Quick Start course, watch our demo video about how Lifter and WooCommerce work together. You'll be able to set up really anything pretty easily with that.
Yeah, I just realized something in this call, and we've been in for over an hour now, Will. You and I multiple times on this call have mentioned minimal viable product, first 10 users, maybe 100 users, things like that. And I don't want people to get the misunderstanding that Lifter's like small potatoes and there's something better out there. We just had we just had an agency within the LifterLMS family launch a website with 500,000 users. So don't make the mistake of hearing me and Will talk, because we really want to encourage people to get started, and we end up talking to a lot of startups and a lot of bootstrappers. But there are people out there that have launched huge projects with LifterLMS, and I want to make sure we don't misclassify it by talking through these lives.
Right. Yeah, and if you're working with one of those projects where you're going to have more than 1,000 students, I would say 1,000 students is probably the threshold where you involve a dedicated technical person on your team to build your website at least. Structure, spend some time strategizing with them. The LifterLMS experts page is a great place to go to find these consultants and people who you can work with to figure out how to bring your LMS project together in WordPress. If you're going to have like a project in the first 6 months that will have less than 1,000 students, like most of my projects, and I think most of Kurt's projects too, just like, we'll build it ourselves, let's launch this thing and see what kind of adoption we get. And a lot of bootstrappers are in that situation. I think the mistake a lot of course creators make when they're bootstrapping and they don't already have an email list with a couple 100,000 people on it, they don't have paying customers on a different LMS platform. They're just kind of getting started and testing demand and testing, can we build up a free course lead magnet? Can we get people into the funnel and buying coaching? Can we do all that kind of stuff? The biggest mistake is that they make the site too complex. They go for a whole WooCommerce multi-product integration without having a student enrolled yet. And so we're speaking more from that perspective of the startup, but there are some more complex considerations when taking a look at these bigger projects, as far as like, how many times are we pinging the website with WP Fusion? Like how many, and how does that affect our hosting speed? For example, with LifterLMS, we have a problem right now that we're working on solving in the back end of our website. We have a license key system. When you buy a LifterLMS license key, you connect it to your website, and it validates that you have an active license key based on your subscription with us. And so that pings the website a lot, and it's slowing our site down a little bit on the back end. So we're looking for a solution for that. That's kind of like a big scale issue that we're having by having hundreds of thousands of users and all this stuff happening. We're taking a look at some of these larger sorts of issues that they're more like minuscule optimizations, but when you have so much data coming in, it can really affect performance. But with getting your first 10 paying students, it's really about product validation, in my opinion. But We had a question come in. Is it possible to edit a course once it's live? And can we edit the course and quiz without losing student data? What other considerations are there when editing a course live? So you can absolutely edit a course and lessons at any point along the journey, even after it's published. The usual considerations are students might be going through your course currently. So if a student has completed your course 100%, they've got their certificate, and you add a lesson to the course, the student does not need to go complete that lesson. They've already completed the course. They're good to go. Their progress will actually tick down. Like, so if you had 10 lessons and the student completed the 10 lessons, got the certificate, and then you added an 11th lesson, the progress would say like, whatever, 92, 93% or whatever.
87%.
But they would still have the certificate. So it kind of looks weird on their dashboard, but so adding lessons and removing lessons, you can add quiz questions and remove quiz questions. If the student passes a quiz and you add a question to the quiz, they've already passed the quiz, so they do not need to go back and retake it. So that's kind of convenient in that way. So once a student gets past a certain point in a course, they will not need to go back to complete it. Unless if I'm on lesson 5 and then you add a new lesson 3, I will need to go back and complete lesson 3 in order to complete the course, if that makes sense, because I'll go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now there's lesson 3 that's not completed. I will have to go back and complete lesson 3 in order to get my completed the course certificate, if that makes sense.
Hey, Will, the other thing to mention on that one is, let's say that you group 10 courses together as part of a membership, and then you add another course to that membership. For auto enrollment, it's just a one click to automatically enroll the existing students in that membership to the new course. So that might be a concern as well for that person.
Right. Sure. Oh, there's someone. Let me drop the YouTube link to someone else here. And it looks like we have another question come in. Once a course is unpublished or expired, what information is visible to the learner? So they would still retain certificates. Certificates are a different post type. And it depends on how you unpublish it. If the course enrollment period or the course, what are we taking a look at? It's not the enrollment period, but it's the course start date and course end date. They'll still be enrolled in the course. They just won't be able to view the lessons anymore. So if you utilize that feature, they'll still see the course in their dashboard. They just won't be able to complete any more lessons. But if you were to completely unpublish the course, turn it into a draft, or delete it from your website, they would still retain their certificate, but they would not have a way to find this post type that's no longer visible in WordPress from the front end. So they would, I've never actually done that where you like delete a course and see how it affects the grade book directly. They would retain certificates, though. Certificates are independent post types, but that would be interesting. It might affect the grade book, and the reporting progress would still be in the database as far as the user completed this lesson, they passed this quiz. That would still be in the database, but I don't know if that changes how it displays in the dashboard. That might be something to test. If it like, the grade book, LifterLMS has a grades feature, and I could probably pull that up here real quick, but I wanted to invite, we had an email come in, so I wanted to invite someone else here to the call. Make sure I on this link. So let me send out this email real quick, and then I'll pull up a screen share to see what happens. This will be a live experiment of what happens when you delete a course that a student has progress in. Chat live. Drop them the YouTube link. Okay, no question. Will. Let's send that. Perfect. So my sites, view my site, share my screen, share screen, share dashboard on Academy. Sweet. So we're taking a look at my Academy website here. Let me go to the front end of my Academy website. I'm going to visit my student dashboard, and I'm going to find one of the courses that I have grades in. So of course it would disappear from right here, but let's see. I have the crypto apps course. That's a good example. So what happens if I delete the crypto apps course or unpublish it? If we were using the, yeah, there's a lot of courses on here. If we were using the feature of course start date, course end date, the grade would stay there for sure. But let's switch it to a draft, and I think it would go away from the, it's going to save, it's saved. So I think it's just going to disappear from that area entirely. So it disappeared from my dashboard. Yeah, it just disappears because I guess it's querying post types and it can't query draft post types. So yeah, it's going to disappear from the grades if you were to unpublish it. However, if we were to use the start date, end date feature, let me demonstrate what that would look like. Go back to the crypto apps course. There it is, crypto apps as a draft. I'm going to publish it, but I'm going to put an end date that's in the past. So I'm going to publish, oops, close itself. So we're going to go to restrictions and put an end date or time period, course time period. We're going to say end date is the 14th. So the start date was the 1st. So I've already missed the period where I'm allowed to take this course. So I can no longer make progress review the lessons on my course. But I should still see my grades. I'm still enrolled and I should still have 100% pass, even though if I were to try to make more progress or view one of my lessons, I shouldn't be able to do that. Yeah, you see, this course was closed on a certain date. So yeah, I can't continue to progress through this course. And I'm seeing a course is closed on blank. I assume that's because of restrictions. There's a message that says this course was closed on blank. 2253 is the wrong number. It's supposed to be in my URL bar. It's 2649 is this post, this course. So if I were to correctly have the post type in here that I'm supposed to have, let it update, and then view the course, that should provide me the real date. This course closed on 3/14, so I can't progress anymore.
Look at you go, man. Look at you go. They have a follow-up question, man. If all the courses were free, how can we make the courses free but require enrollment? This is the really cool thing about Lifter is that you're in control of how everybody accesses or their perception of how you are marketing your courses. So if you don't put in any access plan at all and you just add the lesson and the courses, it's like a regular website. It's like looking at a blog post. People will sign in, they can access the course with nothing. I mean, like nothing, like it's just content. But as soon as you put in an access plan, even if you say no payment required as part of the access plan, it will say, enroll for free. They click on that. They have to put in their name, their email, whatever you specify, right? Because you can, you need a name and you just need an email address, really. But, I put in name and email, and then they can get access based on that free access plan. There's another way to go as well, and that would be you could create an access plan that requires some kind of payment or some kind of enrollment in a membership, right? And then tie it that way as well. Once you have an access plan, if that access plan requires payment or access to a membership, but you still wanted to give people a free sample without collecting information, you could make a lesson free. And that's another cool thing that we can do that way to kind of, entice people to follow through with you.
Right. Let me pull up my site here. I can demo that feature. So we have edit course. Let me turn off my restriction real quick so it stops telling me that I can't mess with this course. But we'll take a look at that free lesson feature.
Dude, you can't do that.
Yeah, there it goes. I don't want to chat.
There we go. That's the problem when you start talking about like access plans and free and paid and membership and that, because there's so many options. It's like we really do. It's one of the problems of WordPress, right? It's like it's a benefit that there's so many options to customize things, and then it's also a curse that there's so many options to customize things.
Right. And the so I made that first lesson free, and I'm actually viewing as myself. Let me view as a visitor up in the upper right. So in this case, we have the lesson 1 is free. So this doesn't actually require enrollment. And I've already completed all these lessons, so it looks a little bit skewed. But this would be where you could share a link to this lesson on social media. But you can have a lesson be free and require enrollment with the access plan system. If I edit the course up here at the top, we have the option to create up to 6 access plans on each course and membership. So a la carte course with membership. So if I wanted a free access plan, we just say no payment required, free enrollment. And this is where most people would do a lead magnet, where they would capture people's email password, have them create an account, and then they get free access to the course. Maybe it's like a 10-lesson course or something like that, and then you might have a more premium course. Or, like Kurt had mentioned, you have the course with membership, which is already set up here, where we can have it be free, so no payment required. You can get into this course, but you have to be enrolled in this membership in order to be able to access the free enrollment link. So if the membership is maybe a one-time payment of $100 or one-time payment of $1,000, you get access to all of our courses. That would be a way to do it. So it's free enrollment, but you do have to buy this $1,000 membership in order to access the free enrollment. Or you might be able to buy courses a la carte for $100 each, or for $1,000 you get everything. That's a pretty common sort of pricing structure for multi-course websites. And we always recommend, or I think most course creators, membership site curators recommend recurring payments, somehow working recurring payments into your pricing options if you can, because it's always easier to sell existing customers on renewing their subscription than it is to sell a new customer on buying a subscription. So having some sort of recurring value built in, like a mastermind call, adding new course content, some sort of recurring value where people would want to sign up for a monthly or yearly membership will help you keep that money coming in the door. And also it helps you scale your business a lot easier, because once you've made a sale to a customer, the question is no longer how can we make sales to new customers, it's how can we prevent churn, how can we prevent people from leaving. And it's much easier to answer the question, how can we prevent people from leaving, than it is to answer the question, how can we get more people in the door? And so if you can kind of get new people in the door while also retaining your other customers, you can scale your platform. It's just really good to have that recurring revenue built in some sort of way.
And Will, you touched on something there, and I just want to go back in time a little bit. Like if you look at structuring and marketing your courses, using like that good, better, best pricing strategy seems to be a good key, right? So good might be access to a course, better might be access to a membership that it includes 3 courses, and best might be, access to that membership with the 3 courses, but also some kind of VIP channel, within your website or outside of your website that involves either a Zoom integration or a StreamYard interaction or a private Facebook group or something where people can reach out to you for that ongoing coaching and mentorship.
Right. And we have the LifterLMS Infinity Bundle, which is currently on a lifetime sale, but we also have that as kind of a yearly pricing structure. And the mastermind is a big part of that, the mastermind call where myself and Kurt hop into Zoom. We're currently on StreamYard, but we hop into Zoom 30 minutes from now. We'll be doing that. We'll hop into Zoom with our mastermind customers. They can ask tech strategy questions, just hang out. We have all kinds of different avenues at Lifter for people to get ongoing support for the product itself. And we're selling, of course, a software product, but a lot of course creators are still selling these sort of digital assets, digital products. And really what you're selling is the result. And it's kind of the same in both cases. Is as a course creator, as a membership site curator, you're selling the result that students will get from interacting with your content and learning from your content, whether it's a certificate for continuing education or some sort of lifestyle improvement course or technical training or whatever it may be. It's like really kind of leaning into selling that result and then creating recurring options for people to get that result or achieve that life change or whatever it is. And so by having like a weekly mastermind on Zoom where you hop in, not even weekly, could be monthly or weekly or bi-monthly, any kind of cadence that works for your users, they have that as kind of an outlet to support their learning. And even if they don't use it, they still have access to the outlet, and that makes it valuable for a lot of users, is that they do have access to something, even if they don't use it. Like I brought up this example last time that I haven't logged into my Netflix account like 2 months, but I still have a subscription because
Still paying for it,
have
baby.
yeah, I have access to log in at any time, and it's more work for me to go cancel my subscription and reactivate it than it is for me to use it 8 months out of the year and then pay for an extra 4 months I didn't use. So that you'll find that with your audience too, as a course creator or a membership site curator. It's like sometimes there's more work for users to cancel and rebuy than it is for them to just continue with the value that they could utilize at any point in time.
Can I switch subjects?
Yeah, absolutely.
I have one in our support emails that's asking about SCORM again, and I just remembered that we have that SCORM asset. Are we going to move forward with that soon? Maybe I could link that to my response.
Yeah, I haven't actually had a chance to get in there and build that, but I could take a look at it now and see what else we have to modify there. But SCORM is a super interesting subject matter. It adds a super high level of engagement to your content, but it's
yeah, it can if it's used right, so that's the problem. That's the problem with implementing SCORM is people think it's magic. It's not magic. You still have to work on it. You still have to build it. But if you build a SCORM package in Articulate, Captivate, Rise, gosh, I'm trying to think of the others because I don't want to leave them out, but there's a bunch of these advanced course authoring tools. They create a special type of zip file or zip package that plays interactive training content. We have a select number of Lifter users that want to play that material, and you can do that through a tool called Grassblade. And so we recently made an asset that we were still editing, but we seem to be getting questions about SCORM lately faster than we're editing the asset to teach people about it. So it came up today, and I just brought that back up. But for someone that's like Medical Learning Institute, that you might have existing SCORM content, and maybe you didn't think to ask about that yet, that SCORM content can be played in the Lifter platform. You just have to add a third-party tool called Grassblade. And there are other options. It's WordPress. There's other options to play that material, but to play it in its intended interactive form, Grassblade works really well. And then if you need reporting off of that material, they have an additional tool called Grassblade LRS, which is a learning record store, which you would add to that to get the reporting to connect to Lifter reporting.
Right.
Boy, that was a lot to spit out.
Yeah, it's super interesting subject matter. I just click publish on that. We can continue to edit and whatnot over time, but I'll post a link here in the chat to that. Like with SEO, we want that piece to SEO pretty well, because a SCORM in e-learning is a really popular thing, and it's really old. Like it's been around since, I don't know, like 2004 or something like that. Super long time ago. It's been used in like Moodle applications and all kinds of classic LMS implementations. And so we get the question a lot of how can I use SCORM with LifterLMS? And so if you're newer to creating courses, I think a lot of new course creators aren't really leveraging SCORM as much. They're more using like H5P or something like that. But if you are familiar with the word SCORM and that means something to you, check out that blog post about how you can integrate it with Lifter directly. And like
I want to be like more complete on the topic, because at some point it sounds like almost like we're talking down to people, like, oh, you didn't know about this? And it's not that. It's two completely different worlds. If you were a corporate trainer and you were working with proprietary corporate custom built learning websites, you have to remember, like, if you think about the birth of e-learning, it really was this walled environment where people had proprietary custom websites, a lot of them built in, I want to say Quark. It's not Quark. What did Kevin O'Leary make? Oracle. There was a lot of them were built on top of Oracle and stuff like that. There were all these custom built things. And so people were using, Articulate, Rise, Captivate, and these packages run like $3,000 a year to license a user to be able to just make the content. I've worked with a lot of corporations with these custom websites where they're paying 100, 200. One of my affiliations was $400,000 a year to host the learning platform, right? And so when we have these conversations about these tools, a lot of people are like out there about it. And so when you look at someone, you go, oh, hey, I can take that existing material that you've paid, and it's hard to tell people this, but you've paid $1.6 million to make this library of learning material. It's not outdated and you don't have to throw it away. There's this tool that you can use and you can play it inside LifterLMS. That's a pretty cool revelation. But there's a ton of people coming into e-learning that don't understand the history of it or are not privy to all that other information. And so when we have these conversations, it doesn't seem to have an alignment, if that makes sense. But it's like we have to understand who the possible audience is. So if you're someone that works for a corporation and you have this giant library of SCORM material and you get sick at night thinking about throwing it away, you don't have to throw it away. It plays in LifterLMS. We just have to add this other tool. And then based on your needs for reporting, you can either subscribe to the Learning Record Store, or you could just use the Lifter quiz function in addition to the SCORM material in a different lesson. Like you could put the SCORM material in a lesson and you can add a quiz to that lesson, or you can add a quiz as a second lesson. And then all the quizzing and reporting and all that stuff stays in Lifter, which makes it really efficient. That's actually the question I have to answer in that help ticket. They're like, what do you mean I need Learning Record Store?
Yeah. So when we say like Lifter, I guess SCORM is just like the big massive HTML file, right? Like that's usually how they're exported. And so there's all these like events that occur within the playing of this media, and Lifter doesn't really have a way to tie into any of these like triggers, like student clicked on a certain pop-up that happened on the screen. There's no way for Lifter to know that. So that's where the Grassblade tool, like Kurt said, comes in to track. They clicked on this, and then it sends that data to the LRS, and then the LRS sends the data into the Lifter reporting. So that creates that bridge where the Lifter reporting now has a method of knowing what happened in that content.
Yeah, and what Will described is in the user experience, they have to refresh the screen to see the result. So some students will complete a course, complete a lesson, and it won't immediately say completed. And sometimes they freak out, but if they hit refresh or if they go back a page and forward a page, then that information transfers because it transfers on the refresh. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Well, now what?
I don't know. We have about maybe 10 minutes left, and then we'll hop off, take a bio break, and hop on to our next call.
Yeah. We can go back to music.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Casey Kasem, and that was the end of our top 40s.
We could start a LifterLMS radio broadcast.
Dude, could you imagine if we did like a 36-hour live broadcast and ran it like that? Hello, and welcome back to LifterLMS TV.
Yeah, you mean like something pre-recorded or something where we just swap out the people on live? Like
did I say swap out, bro? It's gonna be just
the
cocaine and beer, baby. Cocaine and beer.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we'll be making like SCORM content live, and at like the 34-hour mark, our eyes are like completely bloodshot, but we're like, all right, we gotta. That would be kind of fun. It's like a 36-hour like massive LMS site build or something like that.
It could be like a hacking thing, like a hack fest.
Yeah.
What kind of tools can you build?
Right. How do you display SCORM on I'm gonna close some of my tabs.
I got hungry. I had to dive into my cashews.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, we could have a live stream where we bring on users and then we just close our tabs. Like we like it's sort of like a purging or a spring cleaning as a group where we hop into Zoom and close all the tabs on our computer, like individually.
You know, you say that. I'm usually pretty dang clean about my tabs, almost to the point that it's annoying because I'll close stuff and have to reopen it and close it and have to reopen it. But I keep it pretty clean.
Yeah, I can see how many tabs I can get down to. I mean, right now I'm setting up someone a lifetime coupon. They requested a coupon for the upgrade. And if you are a LifterLMS user currently and you have any Lifter products and you're interested in this lifetime sale, email us with LTD upgrade in the subject line and we'll see it. And we'll send you a coupon based on what you currently have that you can use to upgrade to the lifetime plan if you'd like. So I'm setting someone up with a coupon right now. Got to figure out their current value that they've spent with us and create a coupon for that. Person 2023. Coupon.
Of course not.
I have to triple check my math on this stuff. We're using spreadsheets and all this stuff as like a calculator to calculate coupons and all this kind of stuff. And yesterday I almost sent out a coupon that was like greater than what the customer had sent because I calculated the days wrong. This spreadsheet math is just so difficult because for me, like I have to figure out the certain numbers, enter the numbers in, figure out does that number make sense, do a little bit of quick math to figure out, okay, that's about 2/3 or whatever. And man, I'm mathed out from these coupons.
It's all right.
See, we had a question
All right.
on YouTube.
I missed
Have
it.
all the LTD offers for new members been claimed? Not all the LTD offers have been claimed. Let me check right now. LifterLMS lifetime life. I thought it was like
I remember Luke Schmidt. Luke, did we did a Zoom call together, I think. I think we did a Zoom call together talking about using Lifter about a month ago.
Awesome. There's currently 9 left. I've been sending out coupons in email, so some people have some coupons available, but there are currently 9 left and 5 days left on the sale. So anyone still interested in lifetime sale, be sure to email us requesting a coupon, or if you're a new user, pick those up. We have 9 left. And we do have a limit. Like the reason we did set a limit, I don't think we had set a limit last time, last year when we had run it, but we have to maintain a certain amount of recurring revenue for the Lifter business to continue to push, quality support and updates to the product. So we did enforce a limit this time of we're only going to sell 15 of them total, in order to make sure we don't, lose a certain percentage of our subscriptions in order to maintain ongoing support on our end for the product. So that's why there is a limit. We've seen some of those questions come through as to, why is it limited and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so we do some more math here. Does that number make sense? That would be this much plus 360. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Hello. See this one out. Cool. Well, we're about 10 minutes out from the hour now, so we'll probably wrap up the live stream. Myself and Kurt have to jump onto another call here in about 10 minutes. So thanks everyone for joining us. If you see this live stream later, we'll be doing it again next week, same time, Thursday, March 23rd at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And one last question real quick. Is the LTD for Universe or Infinity? It's for Infinity. So we don't have a lifetime Universe sale, just for the Infinity bundle lifetime access to that in perpetuity throughout the universe. I think that's something Kevin O'Leary says. But yeah, so we'll wrap it up for this week. But next week, Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific time, we'll be back streaming live. Hope to see you all on. Thanks for joining us, and have a great week upcoming.
You better check yourself before you wreck yourself.